has rap music been as destructive to the Black community as drugs, as a drug epidemic? And I think
all my rapper friends are so mad.
Myself and Ian, we both kind of agreed that if it wasn't as detrimental, it's been just as detrimental as the drug epidemic. Now, you as a master of ceremony and an MC, I'm sure that you have a different point of view, right? So it's always good to hear people that actually do this for a living and their insight in this. So what's your point of view on this situation?
Okay, well, I definitely disagree with it being up there with drugs. I disagree with it being detrimental. I think when we had these conversations in an attempt to fix something that we feel is broken, that we really don't have much of a frame of reference to go off of. These are assumptions and opinions for the most part. And I feel like hip hop is it's an easy target to go after. If you're somebody who just kind of wants to start up a dialogue and kind of identify with what you feel the problem is and be on the side of the people that want to do the right thing. And most of the guys that talk like that, with the exception of you guys, of course, most of them aren't really doing the work. And I just feel like that conversation, that topic is starting to become really counterintuitive, because it's getting to a point where people are just repeating talking points. You know, I feel like I'm pro greatness. So to censor somebody is to limit a potential for greatness. I think if you had a censored Ice-T back in the cop killer days, the doors that he opened up when he was just standing up for his right, his freedom of speech, his constitutional right. And I also think that that's one of the reasons why freedom of speech is so high up on the Constitution, priority-wise. It's because of the importance of it. You know what I mean? And I just feel like all rappers rapping positively would be definitely a breath of fresh air for somebody that's older, like myself. Yeah. But it would just be, a whole bunch of garbage, positive music being made, and nothing would change. If you want to change the murder rate, you want to change the environment. You know what I mean? Like, people kill in proximity to each other. I think, Ian, you referenced somebody going to somebody's grave. Going to somebody's grave. None of that shit goes on in the real industry. Like, all of that shit y'all are talking about, that's like internet phenomenon shit to me.
When you say real industry, what you mean?
Okay, well, is there anybody you can probably
mainstream rap? You mean?
Not necessarily mainstream, just people who do it for real, artists. Like, is there anybody that you can think of that pops into your head when you say that's an artist? That's somebody who they're dedicated to their craft. They're dedicated to doing this for a living. Because
I think Von was on his way.
Yeah,
God rest his soul.
Von comes to mind.
You think Von was on his way?
Yeah,
I think he was a mainstream artist.
Okay, so cool.
He was almost there. He was like right on the precipice, right on the peak.
So I follow King Von too. So King Von, in his early interviews, he told you that he just started rapping in jail. He just decided to just start rapping. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like something to do as a means to get away from what he was already doing. He's a gang member. He was a gang member that was killing people respectfully. That was killing people, and hip hop was their way out. So what ends up happening is it gets brought into the culture and placed in front of people, and him being somebody of influence, hip hop has to take the hit for everything that goes on. All we are is the vehicle. We're the opportunity. You know what I mean? So I don't think that that's a detriment, because I'm sure that there's a lot of upside to him becoming mainstream. I seen where he was helping a whole lot of people, buying people stuff.
Absolutely.
Who knows what he may have turned into?
But Royce, let me say this. Let me ask you this, because you obviously are a very intelligent person. So you're looking at it from a critical standpoint, right? But you bring up the First Amendment, freedom of speech, right? But as Black people, what level of responsibility do we have with our speech, right? Because, you know, we talked, me and Troy spoke to this guy. I won't say his name, but he was a music executive, like very well known in the music industry. And he was black. And he said something that was very insightful to us. He said he doesn't let his children listen to music, rap music. And he was a rap executive, right? And I'm like, well, why would you not let your children listen to rap music when you make a living from rap? And he said, because when white kids listen to rap, they know it's entertainment. When black kids listen to rap, they think it's a career path, and they think like this is an actual documentation. It's different, right? So what level of responsibility do we have? Because we know that people listen to music and they emulate what is being
imitate what happens, yeah.
Imitate and they emulate what's being said, right? So knowing that there has to be some level of responsibility placed on an artist as opposed to just saying it's just free speech.
Yeah, well, that's definitely not what I wasn't implying just like a free for all, because I'm definitely on the side of all of us having a responsibility when we are afforded the gift of having a platform. I just think that I don't think that I don't think we give our artists, the youngins, enough room to grow and for improvement, you know, because I wasn't super aware of like that responsibility early on. I was like I was like reckless. I was like a loose cannon. And like that part of my creativity is kind of like what molded me into, you know, being a more calmer, polished, seasoned, you know, like nobody comes into the game like that because we're coming from a particular environment that I think a lot of people kind of lose touch with that environment when we've been removed for a long time. We forget how it is to be in their shoes.
That every day. Yep.
And it becomes very difficult, number one, to be able to communicate with them, because I think all of these fall in the responsibility category. Your ability to be able to communicate with the environment and understand the environment so you can speak about it from a more informed place than just like an indictment or like a coming from a place of judgment, because there's a lot of things to consider. It's a psychology. This whole thing that we're talking about is a psychology. There's a reason that people spit pain in their raps. DMX had a crack addiction.
Yeah.
So it was like all you were gonna get from him was pain, but greatness. You know what I mean? So it's like you can't really dictate when he embraces his responsibility and puts that in front of his freedom of speech. You know what I mean? Me in my older age, man, like that's one of the reasons why I haven't put out an album yet, because I'm thinking about shit that I didn't used to think about. I got thoughts in my head that I didn't used to have before. And sometimes I hate it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like, and I think that's why they try to get artists when they're young, because, you know, it's like the ignorance is bliss type shit. You know, like the more information you take in, I know so much now that I wish I just didn't even know. You know what I mean? It's just like, man, you got daughters and you considering how you look, and you know how they view people on a certain floor in the music business and in the building. None of these things that you used to know about. You know what I mean? So I think we need to give them a little bit more leeway and don't be as hard on them, because whose job is it to differentiate if it's being glorified or if it's just somebody painting a picture? You know, it becomes subjective. You know what I mean? So
I think one thing that was missed out of that clip is me putting responsibility on the labels, because I remember when you had conscious rap, backpack almost equally marketed. Now it's like damn near drill or nothing.
I don't agree with that. I mean, I think that because the internet made it so where it's like you got mainstream and then everything else just kind of falls into a niche subculture category, and it's to the point now where every human can just basically curate their entire existence. You know, like you don't have to be cornered and marketed to now. You know what I mean? You can get away from anything you want to get away from. You can escape anything. So if I never want to hear another Travis Scott song again, I don't have to listen to it again. You know what I mean? So a lot of the rap that people feel may influence kids, you don't have to listen to it. You don't have to listen to it. And just like you said, that how your man said he don't let his kids listen to the shit. He's like, that's it. He has a responsibility to parent your children, because this is just a bit. It's just a business and it's just entertainment.
But I'll say this, speaking from firsthand experience, right? Speaking from somebody that grew up listening to hip hop, right? Like, I remember when Mobb Deep's album came out, I thought Prodigy was the greatest rapper of all time. Like,
Me too. Me too.
Almost got into fights because
that 94, 95 year, boy.
You know, if anybody saying anything about Prodigy, I was ready to fight him. So I understand firsthand how influential and how unescapable rap music is. Like, even being a parent, you can't really stop your kids from listening to rap, because they're going to go to school, they're going to play basketball, they're going to be with their friends. And even if they're not listening to it, the influence is just so influential. It's impossible to really.
I don't think that's the way it should be handled as a parent anyway. I don't think you should like forbade your kids from listening.
No, but I'm just saying, as far as like, it's like the Charles Barkley thing, right? Where Charles Barkley was like, I'm not a role model, right? Parents should be role models. But what I'm saying is that hip hop culture is so influential that no matter what you do, if you're Black, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to be able to escape it. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of negativity that has been permeated through hip hop culture. Gangs, for one, drugs, for two. Women, I mean, that's a whole nother conversation. Yeah. But the way that men treat women to the way that women portray themselves, right? Like, if you have a daughter, like, look at the examples that's being set for her. So,
that's being financed by not to cut you off, but it's being financed by the labels. That's the bigger point we were making initially.
So it can't be. It's not like one side against the other side. We need our rappers, because they are the language of our culture, right? But I just think that at a certain point in time, we just have to be honest as well, right? We have to hold our rappers responsible for a lot of the negativity that they've helped inject in our community. And if we,
but is that a rapper issue or a label issue?
It's a rapper issue.
Let me ask y'all this: Who else is responsible? Who else is, in your opinion, who else is responsible for this? Like, are we holding Hollywood to the same standard?
Well, here's my thing. I don't think Hollywood is as influential as music, but you should. But nobody's even watching movies anymore, right? Like,
back in the day, though, when Boys in the Hood and
it was. But you listen to music. I listen to music even now to this day, all day long. Like, music, especially back then, music used to help me get through my day. So I'm listening to music while I'm in class. I'm listening to music while I'm playing basketball. I'm listening to music. I'm not really watching movies 24 hours a day, right? So the impact that music has, I think, is different. And it's a rhythmic beat. You remember the lyrics. I don't think you really remember whole entire movie scores, right? So I don't think that Hollywood is as impactful to kids, to adults, to anybody as music is.
Well, is music? Are we talking about? Did we introduce the gangs to the hood, or did the hoods introduce the gangs to music?
So here's what I said. Here's what I said on the episode, right? Where I said hip hop didn't create gangs. Hip hop didn't create promethazine. Hip hop didn't create a lot of different things that have negative. But what it did do is accelerate the growth.
Amplified it. Yeah.
So gangs was already in South Central LA before hip hop was even probably created. But when Snoop Dogg put the flag on and start crip walking, and that's when it explodes, right? So Drake was already in Houston, Texas, right? But when we hear DJ Screw and then we see, UGK and all that, that's when it explodes. Percocets was already an epidemic in America, but when Future makes a song called Molly Percocet, it accelerates the
mainstream,
right? Yeah. So now it's like you're putting it on steroids, and now you're just accelerating the growth of something that they didn't start it, but they definitely helped accelerate it.